Today I'm going to be installing a new intake on my 2003 Saab 9.3. Now that intake is actually a BSR open filter as opposed to what I have now. Right now I just have a simple K&N drop-in filter. Now I actually bought this, if you guys are following me on Instagram, you might know already that I bought this at the Saab meet, the Saab Club of Arizona meet that we had this past Saturday. And I got it for an extremely cheap price. As you can see, it's a disaster. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go inside. I got some filter cleaner, some simple green. We're gonna get all this dirt off. You can see it's also cracked. But having this open air filter is just gonna give me more turbo noise than the K&N drop-in will give me. And while I personally recommend and like DO88 better than BSR, I figure for the price that I got this for, I really could not turn it down. So we're gonna head inside, use this filter cleaner, because this, I'll put a picture of what this filter looked like new on the screen right next to this here, and you can see just how filthy this is. So let's go get this thing cleaned up so we can install it on the car. So I figure I'll start just by kind of taking this thing apart. Of course, to clean the filter properly, we're gonna have to detach the filter here. Filter is off. You can kind of see the inside there is blue, how it should be, and meanwhile the outside is just black, gross. So we'll set that aside over there for now. Let's use this Phillips head. Get these screws out right here. So really my big, I figure while I'm doing this I could explain what I said earlier about why I prefer DO88 over like BSR or other intakes. And really the big thing is the DO88 is, it's metal, and the silicone is extremely high quality, durable, stiff silicone. So it's really, the big thing is just the materials, and also looks much better in my opinion than a BSR intake. It's not to say a BSR intake is bad, because if I did think it was bad, then why would I be putting it on my car, But yeah, you can see here that this ring right here is pretty much where it's going to connect to the stock air box, or the stock intake, excuse me, and it's cracked. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do for this. So clearly this intake has had its use, its fair use, whatever you want to say. I'm just using simple green, and I'm gonna use some microfiber to kind of like wipe it off, get all this dirt off. It's very scratched up, unfortunately. This piece I'm going to be a little bit careful with, just because it looks like it's very brittle and it's already cracked. The inside is also filled with dust, so I'm going to try and wipe that down as much as I can, because obviously you don't want dust going into your turbo. So it took me about 5 minutes to clean, so not bad. Now we've got to do really the most concerning part, which is the filter. So for this, I bought some K&N filter cleaner and some oil. I read online, this was actually on a Saab forum too, that you can use this stuff. It's pretty much a universal like air filter cleaner. So same kind of deal. I'm going to just use a little bit of simple green just to wipe around this non-filter part, whatever you want to call it, just to get that clean. So according to the instructions, I'm supposed to spray this stuff liberally. We're basically just going to spray this a ton and then let it dry or not let it dry, but let it sit for about 10 minutes to break down the dirt. It says don't inhale this stuff, and yeah, I accidentally did. That's not good. This might have been one of those things I probably should have done in the garage. Alright, switching hands, we're cramping up. Alright, so now we're supposed to let this sit for 10 minutes, so I'll catch up with you guys when I'm done inhaling all these fumes, if I'm still alive. We're just gonna spray water to try and get the rest of that dirt. Oh, that looks disgusting. It's definitely not super clean yet. Some angles it's definitely clean, but it's not where I want it to be. So I'm gonna do the same exact thing at least one more time.
Several days later.
It's been a few days since I last worked on this. As you can see, I have some spray paint for it, some flat black metal spray paint. And I also have some stuff to sand right here, and I apologize for the background noise. It rains literally like 10 days a year here, and the one day that I need to paint something, it decides to rain. So I'm going to start off, you can see I kind of already worked on it a little bit. Right here I'm going to start off by sanding this down a bit, and then we're going to go ahead and spray paint it. Backside obviously don't care about as much, so I'm going to go over this side with this thing for a little bit. Just as a gentle reminder, I am not an expert when it comes to painting. This is just something for me to practice on more than anything, so bear with me when I do something wrong. So it's pretty much all done drying now. I went back in some spots and sanded down and redid it because, I mean, it didn't look great. Still doesn't look great. But it's good enough. It's a little bit more of a flat black than I would have liked, but again, still not too concerned with it. So I guess I can take off this little bit of tape now. BSR logo is still intact. You can see some very light scratching there. It was kind of hard to do it properly. I'm going to go at this a little bit more, but I think it looks good. I don't think I'm going to spend the time to really try to fix this. So before I take the old air intake off for the last time, I want to do some revs and get a comparison between how it sounds with the closed air or the closed air box versus the open air intake. So I'll go ahead and show that comparison at the end of the video so they can be right after each other. So keep watching so you can see how big of a difference it's going to make with sound. Start with the secondary useless air injection. Just clamp loose. There's the K&N filter that was on it. So it's got a nice little dirty couple patches in there that probably needs to be cleaned. They're always a little bit of a pain to like get in and out because there's like has to slide into like 4 different places at once, and you have to kind of manipulate it. There we go. So I want to go ahead and show you guys my temporary solution to fixing this. So basically, before, I probably should have taken a picture of it because it's gone now, but before, this entire spot right here was cracked, which means that there was a big open hole right down here. Obviously a very bad spot to have a big open hole. Now, I'll show you what I did temporarily. I took some Gorilla Tape, some very thick, stiff tape, and did 2 or 3 layers around both the outside and inside, so that is completely plugged up. It's fairly stiff. Obviously it's not as stiff as the hard plastic is, but I'm curious to see if it'll actually work. Now, if it doesn't, I think what I'll do is see if I'm gonna have to see the size of the pipe on this, but maybe cut some of this off and somehow form it to this. I don't know. If someone has any better suggestions, because obviously this is kind of like a not a great solution. And I figure now that I have the stock air box out, I should probably wipe down in here since this is going to be open and visible now. Not great, but definitely better. And that's kind of the motto that we're going to live by for this video and on this channel. When I bought this intake, I didn't realize until right before I went to install it that I didn't have any hardware for it. So I got this off of Genuine Saab, and by the way, if you guys want a BSR intake, you can find them on Genuine Saab. I don't know where else sells them. I think like Brew City Boost or probably BSR's website. But I had to wait about a week or so. That's why there was that big gap in the video there. So now I have all the hardware so I can actually install it properly. So let's get to it. Kind of the best spot I could find to do this. So we're just going to start by attaching the intake hose back onto the heat shield. So I really want to make sure that this is connected strong here because of course this is where I had to kind of use the tape. So I really want to make sure that this is nice and tight. So one of these rubber washers is supposed to go right here. I guess that screw then goes through there. And I think we're supposed to use this original piece that comes off of the stock intake that we're going to put right back in here. So kind of feed that through there, I guess. So I'm pretty certain I did this right. So basically I have screw going in this end, rubber washer, and then this rubber stock piece, and then a washer on the end inside there. So now I'm just going to tighten it down. So this one down here went in pretty easy. I just put the washer on the side that's towards the bottom, and I put the screw obviously in through the top. So that's how I did that side. There's some washers left over. I also have this little rubber cap, which I put one right here, but they come with a second one. I don't really need to use the second one. I think this is fine. Someone else might be wondering, what are you going to do with the SIA? This was only on 2003s. I think I might mention that already. I'm not going to do anything about it because my car has it tuned out. So theoretically it serves zero function, so it should be fine just kind of sitting here. This might be a little bit of a tight fit here. It tells you to put the filter on last, and realistically, now that I saw where it actually gets mounted, that's a little bit dumb. I would probably put the filter on first, just because that way you don't have to squeeze it in here like this. And so that was probably a little bit more difficult than it needed to be, but not a big deal. Still easier than the DO88 intake on my 2.8, and that's just because it's the 2.8. That's not DO88's fault. But that one definitely was more of a struggle to install than the 2.0, just because there's so much more room here. One thing that the instructions explicitly says, and I had a couple people tell me this when I posted that I got this intake, is don't over tighten this. So I guess this rubber is really brittle here or something, and it's kind of tears very easily. There it is. It's in. Let's go ahead, start it up, give it some revs, and see how it sounds. Yes, I'm so happy with how that sounds. Sounds just like the Turbo X now, of course. Open air intake. Now I'm checking under here where this tape is at. It seems to be all holding up well. I'm gonna take the car for a short drive and then I'll get back up with you guys. You know, it's freaking wet out, but you know, we'll see how it handles in a short drive. Make sure that this isn't leaking or this is sealed tight. So yeah, catch up with you guys in a minute. Audio is probably going to sound a little bit different for this clip because this is being recorded on my phone, but I just want to do a quick clip right here while I'm driving. So I'll put it over in the manual mode. We'll go in the third. I'm not going to give it too much because of the weather, but I just want you guys to hear, you might be able to hear a little bit how it spools up in the car, and then of course the blow off, which is really the biggest difference. So hopefully you guys could hear that there. Obviously it's hard to pick stuff like that up on camera. But yeah, back to the garage. So there you have it. It sounds so good. Now when I got back, I wanted to check, it ran 100% great, it ran awesome. I wanted to check this. This was a little bit loose, so instead of using the flathead to tighten it, I got a socket out and actually really got down on it, so it should be on there much better now. It feels like it's a lot tighter. So I'll keep checking on this. If it becomes a problem, then obviously we'll have to come up with a new solution, but it seems to have worked. So with that being said, guys, let me know what you think of the new intake down below. Honestly, can't really complain for $20. I'm pretty happy with how, you know, the painting isn't great, but I like this. I think that helps it stand out more. With that being said, that's all I've got for today, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.